Hi folks, welcome back to our tutorials. In this tutorial I'd like to talk about and demonstrate some tips for updating the quotes rotator small component. This one right here is a good example of it. Typically I can see this being used not just for quotes but for customer testimonials, service testimonials, new product announcements, new event or upcoming event announcements, things like that. Some of the key elements to the rotator are you can add and remove as many as you want. You can change the timing of it. I'm going to go through that with you in the video. Really, it's a fairly simple component. There's just a couple of tips and things I want to bring to your attention when editing. So let's jump right into Dreamweaver and I'll show you what that is. Let's go to our library and our components and our quote rotator small folder and open up the library page inside. Now at the top we have this H2 heading. You can remove that if you don't want it. All it is the heading right here. After that we have blocks of paragraphs. And when I say blocks of paragraphs, this text is just a regular paragraph, this text is just a regular paragraph, but it's wrapped in a div container. That way the quote rotator component knows how much text to display at one time. It will display these two paragraphs because they're wrapped within the quote rotator div container. Now to edit the content or edit the text, it's just a regular paragraph. So the key is when you make your changes, you just need to make sure that the text on the page is wrapped in a paragraph. And if you want to make sure that it's all within the same quote, you can just sort of select click on a word, go down to your quick tag selector, you see there's a paragraph, you can click beside it, click on the quote rotator div tag, and that will show you all the content that is wrapped within that one quote or that one bit of information that'll be shown at the same time. Now for adding and removing, I'm going to suggest you, well, if you wanted to remove a quote, because we have quite a few in here, you can do it in design view. Click anywhere on the existing quote or click on any word in your existing quote. Go to your quick tag selector panel here and then click on the div quote rotator, and then once you've selected it, press delete on your keyboard. To add quotes, you're going to do this in code view. I'm going to scroll or switch over to code view, and we can see that we have all of our quote rotator classes. You can actually click right here, it'll show the entire div, right? But we don't want to do this in code view because when we do it in code view, or sorry, we don't want to copy and paste one of these in the design view. The reason being is it actually pastes down here outside of the div containers when we're all done, so it won't work properly. So to add a new quote, I'm just going to give myself a little bit more room. Just copy an existing div container for a quote. Basically where you see div class quote rotator, click anywhere in there. Down in the quick tag selector bar, select, edit, copy, and then just below what you've copied, we can place our cursor and paste and hit enter a few times and paste again, and then we can add as many more as we want to. Now I also mentioned you can change the speed of the rotator and the time that it's displayed. What you can do here is go into your JS folder and open up the jQuery Quovolver JS file. It's the only JS file in there. And then we have some values that we can change here. There's the speed, in other words, that's the animation speed, and the delay. This is represents about half a second fading from one quote to the next. If you were to turn that up to 1,000, it would take about a second, so it would be a little bit of a slower delay in the fading action. Now, of course, we've called this delay just to really confuse things, but the delay is the amount of time that the quote is displayed for on your page. It's set to 10,000, which is 10 seconds. It's 10,000 milliseconds. If you want it to be displayed longer, increase that number to 15 or 20,000 for 15 or 20 seconds. Shorter, reduce it to 5, 6, or 7,000 for 5, 6, or 7 seconds. I wouldn't fiddle with it other than that. There's a certain formula right down here that basically says if the speed of the fade action is longer than the actual delay or the amount of time that it's displayed, things get messy. So I would just leave the speed at 5. If you want it to go a little bit slower, bump it up to 1,000 so it takes a little bit longer. But other than that, you still need to give your visitors time to read the information. So 10 seconds seems to be about a good amount of time for a small amount of text. If you have larger text, bump it up. If you're just using pictures, because you can insert pictures into your paragraph here, then that makes it even faster.